Number 714. And I don't think he'll be here even online tonight. He's finishing his finals. My CPEC is not here. She has her commitment. Who do we have online?
Are you doing the agenda? Do you follow the role the way the secretary is supposed to do? Well, that seemed to be what you were doing.
We have Jacob, Vice Chair, Flores, Communications Director, Brian.
Okay. All right, go ahead and take minutes.
So you're here. Ms. Goodman is present online. I'm here. Mr. Kaczynski is here. Kyle is here. Where's Jacob? Is Jacob free online?
Yeah, online.
Okay. Joshua is online. Mr. Lutz is absent. Mr. Burrows is here. Mr. Labrie is here. Mr. Kane is online. Mr. Stevick is absent. Mr. Aiken is here. And Clayton is here. And Alex Flores is here. So the only absence on the board Lutz and during this action.
Where we have the opportunity for public comment. Looks like we have one guest here. Mr. Atwood, go ahead and get a minute.
Good evening, all. I'm your liaison to Center Right Coalition that meets here at 9 o'clock every morning. They put out this newsletter about taking on Center Right at the Independent Institute. This gives you a feel for them. I'd say that sort of a momentary smugness and honeymoon phase. The Republicans think that they won't fuck it up in November. So
November's a long time away. That's a lot of time to fuck it up.
oh, exactly. And John Caldera would agree with you. So I'll pass that on just so that you can get a flavor for Center Right Coalition. You all have a card from me. Basically, 2 decades, it's been going to hell. Not going to hell, on the contrary. Upwardly trending popular discontent with 2 parties over the past nearly 2 decades. And I'm a firm believer that approval voting is beyond 2-party thing. I hope that you'll look into it. I feel that it's more than ranked choice voting. Look forward to talking. Any questions? Thank you, sir, for the time.
Mr. Atwood?
I can do your whole spiel now after doing your ad. Approval voting moves us beyond what you're thinking.
I'm sorry. May I have
Thank you.
10 more seconds? 10 more seconds to thank Karen Ann for pitching approval voting, and would appreciate a round of applause, even if I'm the only one who gives it. Thank you, Karen.
Has everybody read the agenda for today?
I have amended.
That would be the time.
Are you promoting me?
I'm really tired.
Okay, yes, I have 2 things. I don't think I actually need to add, but I don't want to forget, and I would like him to be on the record. As he emailed, Mr. Lutz asked me to handle the convention committee report when it comes up. And under the convention committee report, it says approved contract for Jay Smith. I'd like to also add under the convention committee, convention rules committee, and ticket sales. So I just wanted to cover those 2 items, so I'd like to add those as 10.3.2.3.
Any objection?
So that was that. That's
Anything else to add, or you can do it during your report as well? Okay, hearing super
Sniffing
look
out the
again. We'll go to the November reports from the affiliate and development group representatives. Anybody here from Arapahoe?
Yes, this is Josh.
All right, go ahead.
So tomorrow night at 6:30, we'll be taking a break from our usual location and be meeting at the Gilbertson Poe residence, which is 21079 East Minor Drive, or 80016 code. And we do a community drive for Aiden Benson and her homeless organization. She's asking for gloves, socks, clothes, blankets, sleeping bags, beanie hats, all sorts. So they all come and help out.
Is there anything else that needs to be brought to the event? Food, drinks, anything like that?
No, just if you have socks, anything warm to help the homeless out this winter.
Anything else, Josh?
That's it.
Okay. Anybody from Boulder? No. Amber?
We don't have any event planned specifically. Our next one will be on January 12th, which is a Wednesday. We don't have a location figured out yet. We're looking for a new location to start our meetings next year. We're also looking to push people back involved that kind of dropped off as the pandemic started. We're going to be getting things going in the new year.
Anybody from Douglas? Well, I'll go ahead and speak for Douglas. Douglas is in kind of a reformatting situation right now where we have a new chair, we have some open positions, and we are struggling with our meeting location. So we are also faced with the same problem that Denver has. So Douglas County is currently and actively looking for another meeting location. Once we get that up and running, we will convey that to the affiliates director to get that posted and updated on the meetup as well as the state page. Do we have anybody from El Paso?
I wanted to add something to Douglas.
Okay, go ahead.
They're planning on having their convention in January, which traditionally in October, just like a weird time, kind of shifted towards the beginning of the year. We're working on that.
Back to El Paso. Anybody from El Paso? I know El Paso had their celebration for the 50th the same night that the state park had theirs. And I haven't heard from anybody from El Paso to see what type of success they had, but I'll be reaching out to John in the next couple of days. Okay, good.
They do it every year.
Yeah, they've been doing their own for 50 years. All right, do we have anybody from Jefferson County? Mason. Pueblo? Well. Okay, there you go. Reports from the LNC representative. Madam Secretary, do you have anything you'd like to discuss?
Madam Secretary and
Next.
the LNC did that abhorrent policy manual revision, which is very good news. I think it got a lot of pushback. The Delaware thing, after, I don't know how much this board knows about it, but so basically on November 21st, they took 4.5 hours to do and basically affirmed the coup. They'd argued that they did, but that's pretty much how everyone has taken it. Then on the December meeting, they passed a budget thing with Delaware. They kind of now are recognizing both groups and encouraging them to have a special members convention to decide who the leadership was. I'm not so sure they can do that. But I'm not going to argue why not. I don't want to give the masters talking points for their JC appeal, which they are filing. I've encouraged the legitimate affiliate to also file a JC appeal. So what does this mean for us? Because it doesn't seem like we care about Delaware, and I keep trying to press on us here why this matters to us. First of all, just on the human side, you've got this small affiliate where everyone in the party seems to be going, it's not my business, so we're not going to speak out, we're not going to help. And when I got up and spoke for Delaware, these people have been so under the gun with no one willing to help them that like mature grown people were brought to tears by the fact that I stood up and spoke to them, because everyone's like, not my business, not my business. We wouldn't like that happen to us. So I just implore us to not take that kind of attitude that it's not our business when another affiliate is being oppressed. But also how it matters to us is the LNC has set a precedent that we have a convention. Nobody's contesting the results of the convention. The convention was run cleanly. You have a board elected. All it takes is one person to come scurrying along with the slightest pretense and go, I'm the chair now, and the LNC is treating that person on equal footing with the legitimate board that was elected, rather than the presumption of legitimacy being with the board. They're treating Tom as an equal contender. It's an awful, awful precedent. As I said to them, I accuse you guys of having a spine. You're the most invertebrate people I've met in my entire life. That can all it takes is one person to find some excuse. All of a sudden, we're as some group that set up. They're claiming to recognize the board was elected at convention is interfering with the and what I said directly to them, that's the truth. Then you enter 50 year when and you change the contact list. It's not interfering, it's recognizing a legitimate election. They are just missing receivers and messing things up. Now, Alex on the right side of this. Our regional representative doesn't. I need to inform him that I'm not happy with Mr. Lucchini. I think that's pretty well known. But yeah, it's bad, and I hope it's in convention bylaws to make it more clear to what they need to do and this sort of thing. If you don't think it can happen here, Delaware didn't think it could happen there 6 months ago. So it is because pay attention to what's going on elsewhere. Because like there's a couple other states, and I'm not going to mention who they are, that are on the verge of exploding. And this is all a waterfall from my removal because the LNC declared it's free for all. That you can do whatever you want as long as you come up with cause, and cause means whatever we decide it means. So there's 2 other states about to fall apart now too, and I'm working with them to try to prevent it. That's why I'm not. I don't want to hex them. But when you hear of 2 more, if you don't, you'll know that we were successful. If you hear of them, you'll go, well, hold this up. You know, and it's mostly small states now, but it's not a big state like us. It would be devastating for the entire party if it starts happening in big states. Because right now it's Delaware. Start happening with 30 delegates, it's going to be a big deal. Any questions on that? I was personally, by the way.
Question?
I do have a quick question. So you mentioned obviously tightening up our bylaws.
National bylaws.
But obviously, this year's convention does not do that. That's in 2023. Have any more immediate suggestions, or is this more just sort of like just sort of putting out this warning? And you think of that as a more immediate solution?
Jake, I meant national bylaws, so I meant everything.
Oh, okay, got it.
No, our bylaws are good. I mean, things to tweak. I don't have concerns about our bylaws. It's bylaws to be strengthened. 3 areas. 1, happens when the chair resigns because there was a huge dispute whether the vice chair becomes the chair. usurp the delegates and don't like one of the officers, you remove them from such a situation because I criticize them. And three, the whole idea of constructive disaffiliation of affiliates. Those are three areas that the delegates need to take matters in their own hands at Reno. If the bylaws committee mention does proposals, I would suggest that we join other states to do floor work to get proposals moved from the floor. Because it's to protect us. It really does start from home. It's all about protecting Colorado.
I would just like to also ask, I feel the exact same way that you do, Gary, about Chris Lucci representing us and things like that. I don't know that we necessarily have the support to remove ourselves from it, but I just put it on the record that I feel the exact same way that you do about him and the job he's doing.
Thank you for your support, Ms. Goodman.
Any other questions or comments for the secretary? Mr. Atwood, if with no objection, go ahead.
Just a question with regards to pretenders to the throne. Who does the Secretary of State recognize?
I don't know how Delaware works with that. So I can't answer that question. I can tell you the sense of the LNC when the question came up, and on this I think you're right. We recognize, I don't think we should bow to a state institution to have any influence on who we recognize. And that was pretty much the sense of the LNC, and I think they were right in that. So I don't know. And ballot access is pretty easy in Delaware. It's not even like ballot access. But I could try to find out the answer to that question.
Just, thank you.
Answer that question.
That's Alex, I think.
Okay, who is speaking here?
This is Alex Flores. I'm Region 1 alternate.
Go ahead, Alex.
So from what I understand, Mr. McVeigh, the individual that took over in Delaware, currently controls the assets. And so it's been a major issue that they've been trying to work out. That issue, Mr. McVeigh asserts that he's going to continue to control the assets. So how Delaware works that out with this special convention they have it. Well, determine that from there. And I see ultimately they were has lawsuits that are related to control of the party assets.
Part of the problem, Alex, is, I'm deeply involved on both sides. I'm friends with Mr. McVeigh. Like, I don't have any personal animosities here, even though I think he's doing the wrong thing. I think both sides have talked to attorneys, and while $10,000 is a big deal to the Libertarian Party, and a lawsuit is not, it costs that much almost for an attorney, which is part of the shame, and again, not blaming you at all, Alex. In LNC not taking a decision, making a decision, because I do view it as an abetting theft of this party's resources. Imagine if that were us. I mean, we're talking now actual fraud. Will McVeigh didn't even remotely obey any bylaws and removal of the prior board. So this is such a clear case that I shudder to think what the LNC would do in a clear case. Oregon was very unfair when that happened. This is so clear, it's not even funny. I told you what this guy did. Let me just give you one example, just so you can see how egregious it was. He passed the bylaws and allowed them to remove the whole rest of the entire board. And they allowed their bylaws amendments to be on social media. So they had a bylaws amendment posted, and then it was time for a meme dump, so they buried the notice back 11 pages. So that he made sure no one ever saw the notice. And he actually had the backbone to say to the LNC is, I gave notice, there's no requirement that anyone actually sees it. I know what I said to him. Why didn't you put it in Dothraki? There's no provision that it has to be in English. It was so just bad, and he admits it was bad faith. And in such a, in the he unenrolled from membership 2,000 Delaware Libertarians and said, in order to get back in the party, you have to pass my personal seal of approval. So Delaware went from 2,000 members to 29, and 3 of them are like under the age of 10. And the LNC didn't see fit to do anything about that.
That's why the strong bylaws is so imperative. There's been a lot of pushback. We don't have extensive and specific laws. This is an example that proves that the need for good, strong bylaws is absolutely paramount.
I mean, underlying is the fact that bylaws suck, I'll tell you that. And the 2 other states that I hinted before, their bylaws suck too. Underlying it all is some really terrible bylaws. And combine bad bylaws with shady actors, and you just got a recipe for disaster.
Okay, any other questions?
Well, Alex still needs to give his report.
As far as the national bylaws are concerned, I feel like the LNC kind of in a position of, having a limited scope on what our bylaws actually allowed us to do in a situation like this. So I think as we see some of these situations come forward, the need to address it hopefully will sort of inspire some action related to that. But as far as anything else goes, we did approve our national budget for 2022 in Boston. There were some concerns that I personally had there related to things not being in the black. I think just kind of on principle, I don't really like a budget where we run a deficit on anything, and so I think it was good to see that those items fixed. And I think we're gonna. I'm optimistic about 2022. I know that there have been some problematic things all around the nation, and I think this is going to be a very contentious convention season. But I look forward to Libertarians coming together and doing liberty.
I have one request for you, Alex, as I normally do during these things. It looks like, and congratulations, that aren't you going to be appointed to the committee? Is that what I understand?
Yeah, it looks to be pretty unanimous at this point.
I would encourage you, because Ellen so far has ignored this request, to have the convention committee start making convention contingency plans in case, we don't want to be caught flat-footed as we were in 2020 with COVID things. And I've been pushing for this for 3-4 months and been ignored, so I hope you would consider when you're on the convention committee to try to be the advocate for having a good solid convention contingency plan.
I would know that. I do believe that there is something in the works, but I'll give you more information as I have that.
Thank you.
Is there anything else, Alex?
No, and if there's any other questions from the board here or from any of the membership here in Colorado, I do understand that there's some issues concerning the representation of the region, and so I just want to make sure that Colorado members are sure that you do still have a voice here in the region, and as much as I am able to vote and voice things, I will do so.
Any other questions of Alex before we cut him loose? Hearing none. Alex, thank you for coming once again. Have a great night.
Thank you, Alex. You're a sweetheart.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
All right, reports. The only thing I have to add to my written report was participation in the 50th anniversary. I felt as though that was a tremendous gathering. Met a lot of people I never met before, which was one of the most exciting things. So very, very good. That's all I have to add. Any questions? Goodman.
The only thing that I would like to add to my report is that it's December, and I'm got the need in there and if they're making changes and things like that. So if I reach out to you, please get back to me about that so we can get on the same page.
Any questions of Mrs. Good? Hearing none. Treasurer, Mr. Kaczynski.
Nothing else to add other than attend with Ms. Harlos a Will County meeting. It was very well attended. It's a very active group, and I also attended a Lemmer County meeting, which is a growing group. It's got a lot of potential, very good people in there. And I just want to say thanks to Jacob for the event on Saturday night. I'll save the results for him, but the party is better off now than it was Friday because of his efforts. So
We have a monetary measure on that, Mr. Kaczynski.
yeah, and I don't want to steal Jacob's thunder, but
Jacob's
You're gonna let Jacob dump that?
yeah, I'll let him do it. It's good news.
All right, any questions of Mr. Kaczynski?
Bless you.
Hearing none. Ms. Harlos.
A supplement of several things. On our bylaws yesterday was that we had to start soliciting partisan office candidate applications, and we also got that out. So the next upcoming deadline is for us to start soliciting applications for national delegates. I am I'm going a little early, probably we'll send out several emails, but the last day to start soliciting is January 11th. And then the next thing that is called convention, which I think is January 26th. I'm also probably going to do that a little early. I don't like pushing up these dates to the last minute. Also, what I had on the agenda, 2 additional things. With all of these applications that I've been sending out, our free form only allows me to save 5 forms, and I keep having to delete forms to make room for others and then have to recreate the ones I deleted. So I would like to move that we get a paid jot form account, especially as we're coming into convention. We need to do a lot of applications. So I'm moving that $114 be approved for a year's paid jot form account.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that passes. You have $114 a year. Mr. Kaczynski, would you follow up with Ms. Harlos?
But I'll pay and then submit the receipt.
That's right.
The last thing I had, took it upon myself, there were concerns raised at the last town hall. I think they were discussed pretty thoroughly verbally, but in case any members who were not at that town hall had the same questions, I reduced what we said to writing. I distributed amongst the board earlier today. I was able to quote the bylaws in full and the applicable Robert's Rules of Order in full. So I just want to note that I'll be appending that to my report in this minute. So any future questions on that issue, they can refer to that written document, which also includes solutions to keep such confusions from happening in the future, including a potential convention standing rule for this upcoming convention that asks people to not only sign their ballot, but also handwrite their name on it, so that we don't have an issue of not being able to read certain signatures. And that's all I have.
Any questions of the Secretary? Hearing none. Affiliates, Mr. Fury.
Nothing to add to mine.
I'll ask you a few questions.
Yeah, sure.
Have you been in contact with all the affiliates to make sure the meetup has been updated?
It's been like a couple months since I've followed up. I'm planning to do
Probably
that this
happen every
week.
month. It gives you an excuse to talk to them and see if they need any help from us or any ideas. But it's really important the meetup example, Douglas County did not have a meeting in December. I showed up by myself because I went to meet up to see if to confirm the meeting, and it was showing. So I had a nice dinner by myself. But they chose not to have a meeting in December because of the holidays, and so it's really important that everything is kept up to date, not only on the state page, but also on the meetup page. Campaigns, Mr. Luria.
So I only have really two things to add to my board report, kind of simultaneously. So the first is the Libertarian birthday party we had in the Denver metro area. So between ticket sales and donated money, we raised $1,300, which is very exciting. And I know there was a county party in the El Paso area, and then also down in Colorado Springs, where there was prizes and other stuff. So that's very exciting. And then I do know of several people who did register as Libertarians with the state before midnight last night, and talked to a few people who have never been but plan on going to the convention next year.
Dynamite. What was our out-of-pocket expense on this with Jacob?
$600.
$600. That was a big win for the state party. Very nice. And I also want to throw my congratulations into a job well done. I was impressed. I think the advertising was good.
How much did we make?
$1,300.
So that was, and it was a lot of fun on top of that. So it was,
Yeah,
it was a
I
great,
think the boot idea was a good idea. We raised about a little over $400 in cash that night.
well, I would encourage us to consider doing, if we can come up with a reason, to do more of those, because it was a wonderful experience, and I met a lot of people that I had never met before, which to me was the greatest value of the meeting. Bigger than the money that was raised, just to meet more libertarian people that have not previously been involved in any events that I've ever been to. So that was a really big deal. So my hat's off to you, Jacob. Good job. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the report?
No, besides campaigns, I'll get rolling on that for next month after the holidays to start recruiting more people for office. I've talked to a few, finally gotten a hold of a few more people as well.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Loria, before we go to the communications?
What happened to all the Jello shots?
Yeah,
Honestly, we finished them all that night.
I had to.
Me too.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you to all of you. Kevin, you're quite the party.
Oh, you're welcome. Great job, Jacob. Thank you.
Jacob, do you plan on going to the Arapahoe group meeting tomorrow night?
I'm gonna try my best to be there to. I'm gonna do my best to be there to try and rally people to run for office. I know in Jefferson County we've been trying to do that too, and I think the sheriff's position is actually open this year, so that's our primary thing, is trying to find someone we can run for sheriff.
Okay. If you can make it, we'd love to see you. That's actually, Arapahoe is co-sponsoring this with the Dignity Coalition. I don't remember the name of the organization. It's Reagan Benson's organization. And if you can make it, I would encourage you to donate any liquor to the Bransons, because they usually provide all the liquor for everybody and expense to them. So if you have any liquor left over, I encourage you to bring that and donate to the cause.
Sure, it's actually all in the kitchen in the Independence Institute, along with your booth as well, Wade.
I got the booth. Where is the booth?
I think in the cabinets, one of the cabinets.
All right. Somebody help me with that at the end of the meeting. We'll take it because we're going to the meeting tomorrow and taking some coats, socks, and stuff. Apparently that was important. All right. Next we have communications. Mr. Lamont.
I have nothing to add.
Okay. If anybody has any questions of the directors before I pass on, please be abrupt and raise your hand so I can see you. Mr. Lutz is not here. Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to add, I forgot to mention that amendment to my treasurer's report. Last month, we talked about moving $109 out of reserve for the San Juan DG. That was done. Just want to confirm that it had been done.
Would you follow up and see where that stands? The same one?
I don't think there was ever a group started there. We don't have any
Well, there was a motion made a couple months, 3 months ago about putting some aside to help them get started.
No. What the motion was is there was money put aside at some point,
Yeah.
and the motion was to release it.
Forgive me.
So
That's
the
right.
motion put aside was last board term.
Yeah, sorry, I should have been more clear. We moved it back to general because nothing seemed to be happening there.
I stand correct. All right. Mr. Rose, I didn't see a written report from you unless it came in today. I haven't had a chance to check my emails today.
I just got clarification on the location, workplace, the reports. I will do that. I will do that
You want
tonight.
to give us a verbal report
Yeah,
for now?
I'll give you a verbal report. So, January is going to be the beginning of the legislative session coming up. So we need to start doing some planning for that and what our game plan is. In terms of COVID, there's been a series of rulings against all the different, many of the different aspects of the mandates. The private employer mandate that they tried to push through OSHA has been, there's an injunction against it nationally. It's temporary right now, but the federal contractor mandate is through the Office of Management and Budget. That's also been has an injunction on it, and the healthcare worker mandate also has an injunction on it. And these are all temporary, but they've been ruled against at multiple levels in the court so far. One of them has. So what I'm doing is going through the rulings and trying to pull out language from the rulings to see if we can maybe generate some kind of legislation that we could try.
Let's start with a resolution too.
A resolution, yeah. Okay. So the idea being, clarify that.
Resolution is the Libertarian Party of Colorado's position on what's happening.
Okay, so that'll be a good start, and then try to see if we can find people in the legislature that would be interested in sponsoring something that's in line with that. Anyway, that's one plan. The second one is that Julian Assange, the courts recently ruled that he, in Britain, ruled that he can be extradited to the U.S. if he's charged of treason here. So one idea I had would be to come up with a resolution, obviously, that expresses our support for him and not to be further persecuted. But also, potentially, we could make potentially try to find people in the legislature who would be willing to make a proclamation or like a sense of the legislator or whatever that condemns the persecution of Assange, and also states that Colorado will not allow him to be
So like a
brought.
sanctuary state?
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
It looks
Declares, Colorado a sanctuary state for Julian Assange.
That'd be fantastic.
So those are the two ideas. Also, obviously, I got Mason helping me, and I'm also interested in helping anybody else who's interested in helping with legislative stuff. But Mason is focused on drug prohibition type issues. So he's working on some contacts there, and I think we're going to be having a discussion with him coming up pretty soon. So that's the third thing. But I'm focused more on the COVID stuff and other
wanted to be involved still.
Jennifer, yeah, I'll reach out to her and also follow up with Mike Stapleton.
There's going to be a lot of new legislation coming up this year, as there always is, and you're going to need several bodies to help cover all that. And you're not going to be able to cover it. So anybody that's really able to use time and follow the process and bring to you what's being proposed, and then we can put a feeling on each one of those. Maybe your adoration for whether that particular legislation has to be up. It's been a long time since we've had any adoration for it.
We need to write that resolution.
Yes. And that also brings up the thing, it's not necessarily legislative, but it's just a Polish that he said in an interview last week that the emergency is over with. If people are vaccinated, their own damn balls, and people are free to choose whether, and so on. And so what we do is write appraisal of his. We could write a kind of a tongue-in-cheek praising of him for espousing libertarian values.
That might be something for you to get with Josh about, put some Facebook pieces together. But make sure you keep it out. But I think that would be fun.
Josh, okay, yeah.
Are there other statewide still mandate things? Like we could say that's a good thing. Why do you lift? It's like, are there still?
Right, it's praise him and then say, what about this, what about that?
Yeah.
And also, third thing, well, in terms of legislative idea related to COVID, we try to create a preemptive ban on mandates that would apply to counties and parks and school boards. And we can push it. It may not go through, but we can try to push it.
You can find somebody who's in the now that would sponsor that. And so,
But even if we do some kind of resolution, we can have our members mass email out to representatives. There's also something I became aware of when I was at the Vermont convention, is Vermont used to have, all states have like a religious exemption. It's more difficult in some areas than others for vaccines, but Vermont used to have just a conscientious objection. And that would be great if we could push for that
Yeah.
in our own legislature. Like, I'm a religious person myself, but it irritates me to no end that religion is privileged over other issues of conscience. You shouldn't have to believe in God to be able to have a conscientious position.
Right.
against-
And also they've been
I call it philosophical
Yeah,
exemption.
they have the audacity to think they can judge your religious exemption request to see if it's valid.
yeah. But Vermont got rid of their, and that's, and the vice chair is correct, it was a philosophical objection. It'd be great if we could start to push to get that instituted here. Because I know we're pushing to have it instituted in Vermont, and I'm sure probably a quick Google search would be the type of language that they had in the legislature before. But it'd be great if we could start spearheading a move towards that. The whole religious thing always irritates the hell out of me. As I said, I say that as a Christian. Religion shouldn't be persecuted, but it also shouldn't be privileged.
Yeah, my sister filled one out. She lives in Montana, but she filled one out for the Social Security Administration. They asked her, have your beliefs prevented you from getting other vaccines in the past? They ask all this stuff, to try to second guess her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I want to look at all the vaccine legislation that happened a couple of years ago. The school-age children, a lot of vaccines were passed due to school-age children and the way that they basically, for school-age children, there is no religious or philosophical exemption anymore. You go to the health department and you file an exemption, and
I go to UC Boulder, so I had to fill out an exemption for that, and I had to watch a video where they show all these diseases and stuff and try to scare you, and then you just click through the video and then click through the
They
video. It takes like an
re-educated
hour.
you.
Even if
Be
you watch
educated, comrade.
yeah.
Actually, that's where I entered libertarianism, is this particular issue.
All right, do we have any other questions of Mr. Burrows? Hearing none, we'll go to membership. Mr. Bree.
Between our delegate allocation, and we're safe with our delegates, that deadline's passed, but we've dropped from the end of October till the end of November. So I'd like us to either get a volunteer pool or us do it where we follow up on those members now month by month. But I also like to look ahead a month. So before waiting for them to drop, call the people who are going to be dropping in January and ask them to renew now. Dave got me that data and I lost it. If you get me the November drops, January will drops again, and I'll share it with you and we can work out how to stay on top of it. My goal, I would like to see, I don't know if we can do it, but that postcard y'all did was just phenomenal. Like, I'm so proud of that. If anyone has the graphic for that, please send it to me because I want to put it on LPD, brag about Colorado. But I would love to see us get to the top 5. We're number 8 now. It's doable. We can get into the top 5, and if we get into the top 5, we get a credentials committee seat at convention. So we get rewarded for it.
What's the deadline for that?
That's for next convention.
Okay.
But so it will be, I don't know all those off the top of my head.
That's down the road.
Yes, down the road. So, but I would love to see us get into the top 5 because there's more advantages with that. And normally a credentials committee seat isn't a big deal until it is type of thing. When there starts to be a dispute like Oregon or Delaware or whatever, where the credentials committee's got a lot of power to influence who's getting seated. I would like Colorado to have a seat.
We have membership calls. You just said that.
Oh, yeah, I put that, yes, it's something, yeah.
Outreach, Mr. Kane, I didn't see a written report from you this month. Would you like to give us a verbal report?
Sure, yeah, I got it in late, but I'm not going to add anything to it. I'll just quickly go over it because I was last time this week doing travel career stuff. But the merch store is now live. We're not going to advertise it, I think, until January 1st, just so tax filing can be for the first time. But you can buy stuff now at store.lpco.org. And you want to submit a design, you can submit it to, I forget what the exact email, but you can drop it in a Discord in the merch store channel, and then Chad will get that all handled for you. If you have an idea for a design, but you just have a design, you want to hire a designer, Chad knows designers for $15 an hour, and most designs are done for under $100. And the cool thing with the merch store program is you'll still get half of the net on that. So you can potentially get a cool idea, you can make some bucks on it for you and the party. And if you don't want to make some bucks on it, you can just donate that to the party. So Chad's running that. He's excited to have it up and live, and then we'll probably start shilling links in January 1st, basically. And then, yeah, that's about it for me. The Discord's up to 176 members, and then, we had that great party Saturday, so thanks, Jacob, for planning that. And we should probably talk about doing it more in person, because I think it draws more people out, and it's good. Just a good networking opportunity, and it rallies people. So that's it for me.
I'm looking at the store, it looks great.
Yeah, good stuff on here.
Yeah,
those
great.
Those are all one of Chad's designers made all those. So we would also need to see some more. We could have multiple designers on the site and stuff. So, but if anyone knows anyone, just send them our way. If you have any to talk to Chad, you need to get something done.
any questions of Mr. Kane? Hearing none, before we go to the staff reports,
Did we do communications?
Yep.
What did I miss? There's something I needed to add there. I'm sorry, I missed it somehow.
All right, we'll go back to communications. Mr. Liberty, you're back on the hook for a moment here. Our secretary has a question for you.
There was two things. I hope you saw that meme I stuck on there that got everyone all hot and bothered over the government is a necessary evil thing with the fact checker.
I got a great reaction.
Yeah, that was Keith Thompson. He designed that for us. But yeah, that blew up. But the other thing I wanted to put under here is if you could take a look, well, if actually everyone could take a look at lpcolorado.org. It's a billboard that I told David I would bring up this time. Apparently, the limitations of our site, we can't have a slider or a splash page, which that bothers me because that's Web 101. I don't know why. And this isn't David's fault. It's because it's on the national server. But if you look at, he put up at the top where it says billboard, click here. I didn't know if everyone's thoughts were, if that's sufficient. I had a question for David, but I didn't want to just have a private conversation with David. I wanted us all to have input. So my question would be, David, couldn't we just change that all your freedoms all the time cover image to the billboard and the button there be to that page we created about the billboard? Because me personally, I don't like that up at the top. I don't think that's at all prominent enough or clear enough as to what that's supposed to mean.
I'll have to check with Andy on that, but I think we probably could.
You know, and it wouldn't be permanent. You know, it's for the length of the billboard, which right now we've got cost approved for 1 month. So if we could do that, I want everyone's thoughts. I think that would be much more prominent and clear. Joshua, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, we'd switch it back after the run of the billboard.
Yeah.
Wait, Karen, I'm having a hard time visualizing what you're getting at. Do you mean changing our landing image?
Yeah, you know that one with the road on it to the mountains where it says all your freedoms all the time?
Yeah.
Instead of that, or at least the life of the billboard, it would be our billboard ad with a yellow button on top of it to click through to get that informational page I created.
Yeah, we should probably do that.
Yeah.
And we should be sending people right to that billboard link to from the
Yeah.
page, right?
Yeah.
They should see LP Colorado or / COVID or something like that, something that's simpler and easier to remember.
I think if at least we have it more prominent, it will help drive what we're trying to do with the billboard, which is to get more people to sign up for our newsletter, more people to sign up for the party, and hopefully donors. So, David, if you could let me know about that before I go to the billboard company. So, okay, that's all I wanted to clarify.
Okay, anything else? All right, before we get to staff reports, I want to reiterate the importance of everybody getting their monthly board reports dated on or before the Wednesday before each meeting. It's unfair to him for the reports to come in late because he has to go in and put the submissions in twice or 3 times or 4 times. Very important. That's why he is so consistent about reminding everybody, hey, board reports are due Wednesday. Don't ignore them. Get them done and get them there in time. If you have anything to add to your report, don't wait to submit it. Go ahead and put it in, do a verbal addition at the board meetings. Next, we have staff reports. Mr. Ack.
Yeah, I got a couple of things. I've been working on the Secretary of State voter file from the end of October, and that should be loaded here shortly. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is, do we want to try and use the unified membership plan now that the bylaws have been changed at the National Party?
You talking about the policy manual? The policy manual?
unified membership.
No, but we haven't had bylaws changed, so I don't know.
No. The National Party deleted that.
Yes, the policy manual,
Yeah,
correct.
Okay. So do you want to call National and have them do the unified membership planning?
I don't see a downside to it. I really don't. If anybody has a downside, bring it now. But I don't see a downside.
Oh, no,
I only see an upside
Yeah.
to this whole thing.
Now that we don't have to sign our full away, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So, yes.
I think you, Wayne, need to contact National, either Tyler or somebody.
Okay.
And tell them to go
Would you
ahead.
send me Tyler's?
I'll send you his email address.
I'll get it from Karen. All right. Very good. What else,
Go
David?
ahead.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Next, we have technology. Mr. Scale. Pronouncing your name correctly, or did I butcher it again?
Pleasure.
Cassiaccio? What is it?
Cashado.
Cashado.
Kashada. Okay. I will butcher that forever. I have my recording machine and play it back to myself a dozen times. Clayton, I want to thank you for all of your help. We don't yet have a replacement for you for January. We may possibly have somebody to step up in February. But at this point, Mr. Keene said that he could help, or get somebody to help us for our January meeting. Mr. Keene, it looks like you're on the hook for at least a month.
Now that we have the JOT form, I'm going to send out an application.
Okay.
I'd be happy to train someone online.
Okay, beautiful. Thank
Or meet up with them, I suppose, would work too.
you. Okay.
So,
Well, I appreciate you stepping up and filling the hole that we had in the last 3 months. That's been a tremendous value to us. Thank you very much.
well. Oh, I do have one announcement about tonight's
Okay.
meeting. For whatever reason, the YouTube stream in particular, not the meeting, the YouTube stream is choppy, so the audio is pretty much unusable. So I haven't been able to fix that. Sorry.
Okay.
It happens.
Has that happened at every one of the meetings for the
No.
youth?
No,
No,
this is
just tonight.
This is
Just tonight? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
but yeah, it's something with my streaming software because the meeting's tonight. So.
All right. Any questions of Clayton before we go to the next item? Hearing none. Thank you again, Clayton.
Well,
All right. Committee reports. Mr. Seebeck is not here, but he did submit a style committee report. Madam Secretary, where is that? Where can I find it?
Under committee report, style committee.
I am here.
Well, hello, Mr. Seebeck. I'll let you give your own report.
Sorry about that. I was in a different meeting that I left early. Not good decor on there. Much better here. Thank you. On November 21st, I sent out an email introducing the whole process to the committee, along with base copies of the platform and the bylaws, with the request that people start looking over and marking it up to turn in by the end of December, at which point we'll merge it together and we will then start meeting to sort out what we got to polish the products. That's where we're at.
If anybody here has a question of what the style committee does, now would be the right time to raise that question.
What does the style committee do?
I knew it would come from somebody. Go ahead, Mike.
Come on, guys, read the bylaws. No, seriously, all we do is we peruse the bylaws and the platform to make sure that they are written in a consistent style and format. Make sure there's no grammatical errors, no punctuation errors. Terminology is consistent, format is consistent to make sure everything reads well. We use the Chicago Manual Style as a guide to do that. We do not rewrite the platform or the bylaws, but if we uncover substantive issues with them, we can refer those over to the platform and the bylaws committees. which haven't been constituted yet until after this next convention.
Excellent.
And we'll have, after that, once we're done, is we'll submit to the board will give it a look over, and they can either say yay early or send it back to us and say, hey, fix these things if they find problems.
Thank you, Mr. Seebeck. We have a question from Mr. Atkin.
Mike, the committee meeting should be posted on the website, so if you could get me that information.
We'll get that to you when we start having them, yes.
Yeah, right now it's just an email.
All right, any other questions of Mr. Seebeck? Next, we have the messaging committee, Mr. Lamont.
Yes, just that we met and worked on that design we have on the website now, and we'll be sending out to the
Tomorrow. Once David has that, lets me know about that header we just discussed, that we're going to be pulling together.
Okay. Anything else, Josh?
That's it.
Okay, next we have the convention committee. Mr. This is not with us. Ms. Harless, who is also on the committee, is going to handle the report.
Okay, I did a report. Mr. Lloyd, did you get to go up there with him this Friday?
No, he did talk to me, and I know David went with him, so David might be more, I know David's on the committee, but he might be better to answer your questions.
Well, did you guys go up look at the space?
Mm-hmm.
So, are you coming Tuesday for the meeting?
Well, I don't know if I am or not.
Well, we'll discuss that, I guess, at the convention committee meeting. What he wanted me to cover was primarily a motion, and then there were a couple other motions that I had added. But the primary motion is that the committee voted to approve, pending approval by the board, to retain or contract with Dave Smith to be our main gala speaker and performer at a cost of up to $6,000. What that covers is his $5,000 speaking fee, and then room, whatever, there's miscellaneous expenses. It'll probably be under $6,000, but they asked me to move for that amount. And it passed unanimously out of the convention committee. So on behalf of the convention committee, I'm moving that the board approve up to $6,000 to sign a contract with Dave Smith to be our main attraction gala speaker.
Okay, any discussion?
Is that his going rate, 5,000?
Currently, yes.
One moment.
And who is he? To my ignorance, who is he?
Dave Smith is a very prominent, well, his primary gig is as a comedian. He's a very prominent libertarian comedian, but he also has a internet talk show called Part of the Problem. So he's a political commentator / comedian, and he's almost certainly going to be announcing to be running for our 2024 presidential nomination. He hasn't made that formal, but he's been making a lot of looks like he's going to be announcing for that.
To quantify it, he probably has the largest libertarian podcast, and there's a lot of those.
Yeah, him and Tom Woods are the two biggies.
Super. Thank you.
That will, if we approve Dave Smith, I can guarantee you that will bring in probably 20 to 30, maybe even 40 more people than we would have. We had just almost any other.
Yeah. And it will help with our press releases and things like that. And plus, anyone who comes to the convention committee meetings, which they're open to, anyone can come to, you know this. Why Dave Smith is a particularly good choice for this is we got permission from the venue that we're planning on. The gala is going to be a hot gala. You can get high while you're there and laugh at Dave Smith. So that's why good everyone's going to be fine for that. So he's not just going to be a speaker, he's going to be a performer / speaker. So he knows he's giving a talk, but also we want him to make it very heavy in comedy.
And just to put the speaker's fee in context, I was with another organization that hired Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
She's not funny at all.
She's not funny. She costs $50,000.
Yeah.
So $5,000 for someone of his caliber is very reasonable, I think.
Also, correct, we're not spending any money on the venue.
Correct. And so, and we could even consider, we haven't brought this up in convention committee yet, but it's something I've been percolating. Again, I'm speaking out my ass right now because I haven't brought this up to the convention committee. But because this is a venue that if we sell out the venue, which we might, we could even consider selling some kind of limited, like online view of his talk and make some additional funds that way. And so there's a lot of money-making potential for us with a big name like that. I think it's one of the big things that we've had. And I know some people will go, oh, but he's controversial. Great, because that brings even more people. You don't want boring people. You want people that make people feel something. And he certainly makes people feel something, good or bad. Nobody is indifferent about him. And I happen to adore the hell out of him. You know, he will be a good draw.
Okay, so there's been a motion on the table, a second. Any further discussion? Any objections to $6,000 to bring
Up to
$6,000 to bring Dave Smith in as our keynote speaker for our convention? No objections?
no.
Hearing.
Okay, so two other things. One is convention standing rules. Normally, our bylaws committee is also our convention standing rules committee. We don't do bylaws every year any longer. So we have a very good set of convention standing rules. They very rarely change, except for the deficiency that was brought up at the town hall. There's a new standing rule that needs to be created. I don't think we need an entire convention standing rule committee. We have a very good working set. And convention standing rules have to get approved by the convention. It's not something that the board unilaterally imposes. It can be amended for the convention. So I would move that we just task our parliamentarian with coming up with a draft set of convention rules to present to the convention committee for convention. Not bother the whole committee, because we don't need the whole committee to just tweak our standing rules. And Mike's the one who's written them every year anyway. So, like, why play the game? I would just move that we task the parliamentarian with coming up with a draft set of convention standing rules for this convention.
Okay, well, before we consider that motion, the results of the previous motion, and that passed with unanimously, so we have $6,000 for Dave Smith. Now, we have to consider. Do we have a second on? I'll second it.
Second.
Do we have any discussion on this?
Could you remind me what that's the only reason why?
Oh, yeah. It's to task our parliamentarian feedback with taking the existing standing rules to present to the convention, approved by the delegates for this convention. Two things that need to be changed.
And we have to approve this.
Right.
The convention has to ultimately approve them.
Any objections? Hearing none, that passes. We will task Mr. Seebeck with the tweaking of our standing rules.
And I have one last,
Okay,
I have one last thing.
Thank you,
I've already
Bill.
done it, so that's
go ahead.
This isn't a motion, but it's a discussion, because the convention committee wants to hear what the board has to think. But the convention committee's opinion, this falls under our purview to vote on. So we're not like really asking the board's permission, we're asking for the board's input. When it comes to, and I know Dave has a strong opinion on it, that's why I'm bringing it up. It's about ticket sales. The convention committee is considering using Eventbrite to sell the convention ticket packages, to take the administration of handling ticket sales out of our hands. As we put it with a professional where people can print out tickets, they keep track of everything. And we're leaning very strongly towards that, but we wanted anyone here's input, good, bad, or indifferent on that. Before input, though, I wanted to say that I'm the person driving that wanted Eventbrite, so I want to get all the cards out on the table. I'm not neutral in this discussion whatsoever. And one reason is I go to as many state conventions every year that I can, and I try to learn from them so that we don't have to repeat it. And I've noticed over the years now, more than half of the conventions I go to, and all of the bigger states, use Eventbrite. They're not all stupid. They're doing it for a reason. So I would like to follow suit. I have not been happy at all, no offense to anyone involved with it, with the way we've handled ticket sales in the past. The pages are kind of wonky. We're tweaking this, tweaking that, because we're not ticket merchants, and we shouldn't have to be.
What's the expense of that?
It's a small percentage. I wish Ryan was here. He's a little better because the Mises office tends to use Eventbrite. Well,
Ryan, do you have any input on that, the cost of using Eventbrite?
It's some small percentage plus a fixed fee, like basically like any credit card fee amount would be
we would roll it
comparable,
into
maybe
the
like
ticket price.
3%. Ask Jacob, he just knows.
I've been looking into this. So, for example, for the birthday party we just did, the ticket price is $32. Ultimately, the fee was $3. Based on the current ticket price for shooting around for the convention, it's probably going to be anywhere from $7 to $10, depending on the level of pricing we do and things like that. Although that is kind of common in most processing things right now, unfortunately.
And we were planning on rolling that.
You just pass it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could theoretically either eat it or pass it on. Eventbrite gives you that capability.
You have a motion here somewhere?
No, unless the board disagrees, the convention committee believes that it's within our oversight to make that decision, but we wanted input and public kind of comment on it.
Mr. Atkin?
Can you get an exported file of all of the people who go?
Yes.
Okay. And can we capture their voter ID or something so that we don't have to match on name and address?
We have to do that anyway as far as due diligence, I believe, for credentials. I don't think we can count on any kind of online thing to do that. The credentialing committee is always going to have to physically match them to our voter rolls.
Okay.
In terms of information on Eventbrite, I will admit I don't know if you can set to require to upload like a picture of a license or anything, but you can request their address, their phone number, any kind of information to actually buy a ticket.
I mean, we could do a preliminary pre-credentialing on that sort of info, but, you know, the credentials committee, in order to certify the delegates, has to do a physical check anyway.
Yeah.
Mr.
I suppose you could add a field for the voter ID and ask the participants to go to the Secretary of State's website and get their voter ID.
I wouldn't be in favor of that. I think that causes too much work for someone to sign up to give us money.
Okay.
When the credentialing committee's got to physically verify it themselves anyway.
Okay.
I don't want to make it hard for people to give us money.
Okay, any further comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll move to the next order of business.
And I'll pass all of this along. Of course, I'll put your suggestion on to the convention committee. That's not my decision, but I just, you know, it's probably going to be on our next agenda, though.
Just as a note, if it's anything like the merch store, they're going to want to have some of our information so that money can be transferred. So just let me know when that time comes.
Okay, next we have the merchandising committee. That's Mr. Kane. I think you've already given us that in your board report. Is there anything you would like to add?
No, just what I just said earlier. It's board. We're not going to like put it out publicly yet because we have the 2021 filing stuff. So we just want to make sure like that's handled before we like last year out and then have like 2 weeks to handle the tax supplications or whatever, but go ahead and go order stuff if you want, and then hit up Chad if you have any ideas for any designs or anything like that, because like if we could, like, I think the big opportunity here is like capturing like the moment on social media, right? And then like potentially, you know, thousands of people driving revenue to Lpco that are from Colorado. So reach out to Chad if you have any ideas, and then maybe Josh too, if you could push it on Twitter.
Okay.
Ryan, this is Gavin. Do you get details on volume or sales? I mean, is there reporting on this website?
Yeah, we ended up like paying the $30 to go to Shopify, and they have like all sorts of analytics and stuff like that. And we did that also so we could add in their employment and like employer info for Secretary of State reporting. But there's all sorts of analytics and stuff, and I'll send you like a login info so you can check out that dashboard too.
Great. So when I buy my wife a In Ron Paul We Trust hoodie for Christmas, you'll see that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect.
And we'll say you're a good husband.
That's what I'm going for. That's all I care about.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kane. We don't have any special orders or unfinished business, so we'll move to new business. First item is RCV Castle Rock.
That's
Madam Secretary, would you like to go ahead and give us a rundown?
Yes. If you look on the OneNote for new business with previous notice under RCV for Castle Rock, you'll see we have proposed, we met with RCV Colorado, and we have a proposed timeline if we end up doing this in 2022. This is just informational. I don't have any kind of motion. It's just that we hope that Lpco will get involved in helping us petition. We have a goal of, we need to get 10,000 signatures. We need 5,500, give or take, valid signatures right now, but with population growth, it's probably be a little higher by the time we do this. So there's going to be a lot of activism opportunities, I think, next year, and this will be one of them, and it would be pretty exciting if Lpco helps something we succeeded in this. But that was just all information, no motion.
Okay. Endorsement of the RCV for
This is also the OneNote is the website. I also distributed this ahead of time to the board to take a look at the website, and I move that the Lpco endorses the RCV for Fort Collins effort and give them permission to list our endorsement on their website. If there's a second, I'll speak to it.
okay, go ahead.
I've been talking with the people organizing that. They're not directly supported by RCV Colorado, but RCV Colorado is coming alongside them and says that the effort is legit. There's no poison pill so far, and they're on a good track for success. And since our platform does support RCV, as well as approval voting, I mean, if this was approval voting for Fort Collins, we have the same motion. So I do think we should endorse their effort and allow them to list our endorsement on their website.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, that passes.
And there's something I want to add just in general about RCV. I'm very proud of our RCV for Colorado because throughout the nation, monopoly is getting very scared by alternative voting measures. And what they're trying to do with RCV is tie it to top X primaries, top 5, top 2, whatever it might be. In fact, they tried to, I mean, it wasn't like legally a bribe, but I call it a bribe, where they tried to offer RCV Colorado $1.5 million of funding if they would tie it to that in Colorado, and they refused because they said that goes against our purpose of trying to help minor parties. This coming up Thursday, Wayne and I and some people with the National Party are meeting with RCV Colorado to try to give them some ammo on fighting top whatever primaries. So we're one of the few states that are resisting that, which is another reason why I think the RCV movement here is so good, because it's not getting infected by poison pills. Because I made it clear in no uncertain terms to RCV Colorado that if they ever bundled themselves with top anything, like, I would work my ass off to defeat them at every possible term. Technically, I think is the word I use. So I just wanted to let you guys know that we have at least an RCV organization here in Colorado that has some pretty strong integrity.
Okay. So we have a motion, a second, and that has passed.
And Frank has a question.
Yes, Mr. Atwood.
Just as information, there might be an approval voting effort in Commerce City.
Well, let us know.
Will do.
You bet. Good. All right.
You did just only ask for discussion. You never actually asked for objections, I don't believe.
Ask for objections, and I heard none. I'll ask again if you think I missed that. Any objections to the endorsement of RCV for Fort Collins? Hearing none. Again. That passes. And thank you for paying attention. Next item of business is we need to schedule a date for our next town hall. I think the town halls will be pretty productive. You get a little bit interesting sometimes, but I think it was all very valuable. So we'll go ahead and schedule the next one. We're doing this quarterly right now, so I think our next one will probably be somewhere around February, mid-February.
Or like maybe beginning since convention, put it about a month before the convention, I think would be good.
I mean, does anybody have any particular dates that do not work for them? Because I'd love to have more board members participate. We only had a handful of board members at the last one. And I think the purpose of this is to allow the public the opportunity to find out what we're doing. And
I got an idea.
Go ahead, Josh.
This is Ryan. I think we should do it in person and make it more like the December fundraiser we just had. So we could maybe do an hour town hall to begin that night with, and then transfer to something more casual, more fun kind of, and maybe blend that in like a fundraiser, like monthly meetup or something like that. I think that would be a good idea.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Is there a county that we should go to and support their efforts?
That might be possible. Logistically, it may be difficult.
Sure.
Here, obviously, it's easy because we're right in the midst of the population centers.
The Independence Institute too is like they give it to us for free,
Right.
so it's like that's really hard to beat. I'm definitely think it's a good idea to go and like do like a fundraiser, another pack itself, so like a whole stadium kind of fundraiser or something, and town hall at the same time. They did like like a 4-hour event like Saturday, and then just handle business for the first hour or whatever, and then just like turn it off from party because it's like a casual.
Drop the disco ball?
I've got a disco ball.
I was thinking maybe with some of the development groups, it might help get a little momentum going there.
I think that's a good idea. The only pushback I have, Gavin, is most of the venues where the meetings are held is noisy.
Yeah, well, they're breweries.
That would be difficult for anybody that's participating online. So I think that would probably make it almost impossible to make it possible for people
That's a good point.
that are not there to be able to hear what's going on.
But what we could do, like if we had an event here, in the advertisement for people who couldn't make it in person, we could ask them to submit questions that the board will answer. We're going to record it, and they can't have the back and forth that they could have if they were here, but at least, for people who are in the outer reaches, could maybe submit some questions.
All right. I'm all for the idea of doing it here, but let's talk about a date first.
Hey, Hey, Ryan or whomever, do you mind muting? You're washing dishes or something. It's.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's me.
Oh, sorry, Hannah.
Do we want to maybe task, since it would be more of a fundraiser, the fundraising director with setting this up and determining a date?
And that would be fine by me. We don't have to make a decision.
And he's not here, so.
No, have Jacob do it because he just did the last one successfully.
Well,
But Jacob's here. I like making people do stuff when they're not here to punish them.
I can second that notion.
I like the way you think.
If we do have an in-person one, I suggest a Saturday night or,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I go along with that.
Well, how about Jacob and Daniel working together?
Jacob,
Wow,
do you
that's
have any
beautiful.
objections to that?
I mean, I'm happy to help with anything, so it doesn't, you know.
All right, consider yourself on the hook.
Primarily Daniel,
Co-hook.
because he's not here. Voluntold.
I will reach out to Daniel as well, but if you reach out to him and have a date, a Saturday preferably, and a venue. And frankly, I think the Independence Institute here is a wonderful idea. And come up with all the details for it by the next meeting.
Yeah, we can do that. That gives me a month. That should be plenty of
I'll
time.
reach out to Daniel after he's done with his finals. Right now, he's not in communication with anybody, probably even with himself. So by next week, that should all be fine. All right, next we have,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
somewhat out of order, unless anyone objects, I'm asking indulgence. Something just occurred to me, and we had brought this up in past boards that we're in, since we are taking advantage of the hospitality of the Independence Institute. Have we considered throwing them a donation? We made $1,300 at this last event. I think it would be the right thing to do. We could maybe put this to an email ballot to make a donation to the Independence Institute for their hospitality.
That's fair.
I think I would agree with that completely. Would you put together an...
I'll start an email ballot
Yep.
and we'll come up with a figure or whatever. But I think when we have an event and if it's profitable, that's just the right thing to do.
I would agree. And they have been fantastic for us for years and have really stuck their neck out and given us access to their facility just about any time we need it. I hope the place got cleaned up before we left on Saturday night. So,
Yes, from my understanding, everything looked fine.
beautiful. All right. So there will be an email ballot in your emails in the next couple of days. Please watch for it. Next item we have is establish the Lpco Historical Committee.
Okay, this is something I had on the agenda before, but we were just too crowded. We have the archives here in Colorado. We had a bunch of really eager volunteers this weekend who were just thrilled to be asked to help to do something. There's always a lot of work to do on that. So I would like to have the board's blessing to, a lot of states have their own historical committees, to establish an Lpco historical committee that will help work on the National Party archives, but with a focus on Colorado history. We've got a ton of Colorado records there that need to be scanned, indexed, and put up on Lpco to recreate the Colorado Party's history. So I would ask the board's blessing. So I'm moving to establish an Lpco historical committee comprised of the Lpco secretary plus 4 additional members that will be elected by the board after the secretary solicits applications from the general membership.
Do I hear a second?
And the committee will choose its own chair.
I'll second it. Any discussion or objections? Hearing none, you're on the hook for another one. Should probably restate that. It has been passed.
Well, I'm going to put it in minutes, but it was to move.
That was a joke on my
Too
part. It
casual.
wasn't very-
We get your point.
Okay. It'll be 4 people plus me, the committee to elect its own chair, and the board will select the 4 additional people after application.
Okay, thank you. Next item, we have eliminate damage caps support. This I haven't a clue.
I sent this around. I always all the new business. You guys know that. I can fill in an agenda like nobody. It's in the OneNote. It was something that I had come across in my professional life as a paralegal, that there's a group that's lobbying the legislature to, it's here what new business with previous notice under eliminate damage caps. There's an email about it. It's from the Colorado Trial Lawyers Association. Right now, injured people are limited into what they could recover from wrongdoers. And I just think that's a particularly libertarian law. I think when people get injured and people are negligent, they should be on the hook for the extent of those person's injuries, and it shouldn't be arbitrarily capped. So we haven't been asked for our support in this, but I think when we see lobbying efforts that are going forward on things that are a libertarian measure, we should go out just to tell the group that the Libertarian Party of Colorado supports what you're doing. So I am I'm moving that the board direct the Lpco chair to communicate to the Colorado Trial Lawyers Association that the Lpco supports the elimination of damage caps in lawsuits concerning negligence against injured, in favor of injured parties.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Could we put this to email vote so I can read through it?
Yeah.
See what the.
Yeah, there's no hurry. We haven't been asked. So yeah, I can put this to email vote.
Because just to check if maybe there is a good reason for a damage cap, just comes to mind, maybe ambulance chasers or something like that. I don't know, but just to look into it before I vote on it.
Well, the thing is, we have to be, no problem, because again, there's no hurry. But to just answer, there's been 2 objections that have been brought forth. And I'd like to address both of them when we can have a back and forth. One would be, are there ambulance chasing lawyers? There certainly are. I work in the profession. However, I think it's a perfectly libertarian idea that we have to be able to trust the jury system. And these are jury trials that go this. And you can chase an ambulance all you want, but we're going to have a jury trial system. You have to be able to trust the juries to make adequate damage awards. To artificially cap it is no different than saying mandatory minimum sentencing. You don't want the state saying what people can or cannot recover. That's one reason why pollution's so bad, because the state arbitrarily limits its own ability to be sued and get damages. So when the state steps in on issues like that, I just don't think that's libertarian. The second issue was that insurance rates could go up if all of a sudden there were larger damages. Maybe they would. But if there are injured people that actually deserve those higher damages, then that's the market, and that is what the insurance rate should be. And if you were ever grievously injured, you would want to be able to recap what you're entitled to. And I don't think, because I don't want my insurance rates to go up, that I get to tell somebody who lost a leg or something due to somebody's gross negligence that they shouldn't be able to recover as much as they're entitled to. So those are the objections I typically hear.
Okay. We will put this to an email ballot, and information will be provided on that email ballot for you to do your research on that, Mr. Labrie.
Thanks.
Next item we have is donors and walking lists for candidates.
That's not me. I don't remember who that was, though. I think that was Ryan. Ryan?
Mr. Keene, was that you?
Who put that on there? Somebody did it?
Perhaps.
Jacob?
Not me.
Somebody, I'll look it up. Somebody asked me to put that on there. Let me look at my emails. For once, it's not me.
That's why I like you to put that on.
I know. Let me see here. Agenda item. Daniel Lutz, and he's not here. So that probably is going to need to go to old business.
We will move that to old business for next month. Next, we have the announcements and opportunity for public comment. Mr. Atwood, since you're the only one here, it's your turn if you have anything else you want to talk about.
I'll pass. Escape while you can.
Okay. Next meeting will be, once again, the second Monday of next month. We have no further business. The meeting is adjourned at 8:51.
Fantastic.
Early.
I know, we were late.
Started.
Thanks, everyone.